I looked forward in time, I saw 14,605 futures. Did the price of Bitcoin reach 1 million in any of them? All of them. What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Bitcoin actually slightly up since yesterday's video. Now, I do know in yesterday's video we were talking about the potential of Bitcoin having a top, looking for a 30% correction. You can see right now we are sort of getting rejected again around the $13,800 level. And a lot of this does have to do with the uncertainty of what is going to happen today in the United States. We have the presidential election of 2020. And lots of people are concerned as to what is going to happen to the Bitcoin price. Now, interestingly enough, before we even get into Bitcoin, having a look at the S&P is actually having a nice pump today as I'm talking right now. You know, this candle is actually pushing upwards. So lots of people thought it was going to be negative on the day of elections, but keep in mind, we're not actually going to have the results immediately, right? We'll have an idea, but you know, it always kind of drags out. Then we always got to double check with Florida. You know how that goes, right? So lots of people are concerned about what could potentially be happening with this. So we're going to talk about the potential short term as well as the medium to long term and what to realistically expect as far as Bitcoin price, you know, whether or not whoever gets elected, we'll discuss that. Also, there was actually some sort of FUD coming out of China. Some of it has been confirmed. Some of it has not been confirmed, but these rumors potentially are having an effect on the Bitcoin price. And we do have one specific thing happening right now, which was the biggest mining difficulty adjustment, which was a decrease in miners' difficulty of 16%. This is the second largest correction we've seen in adjustment in Bitcoin's history. What does this mean? Should you be worried? Why is it happening? We're going to get into all that today. And of course, we have some good news at the end. We do have some PayPal updates, and Bloomberg is once again bullish on Bitcoin. So if that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you are not subscribed, definitely consider it. And before I move on, I just want to remind you guys that we do have the $500 bonus giveaway for Bybit. If you are trading over on Bybit, all you have to do is just use the link below. Go over to the coupon redemption and just type in win $500. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check the comment below or just watch yesterday's video. That will be going on until December 10th. And with certain deposits, you are in fact eligible up to the $540 total. Go ahead, have a look, read it for yourself. I do have links above if you are interested in the tutorial. Now, as I did say, we are seeing some pumping, interestingly enough, in the S&P, right? Having a look at Bitcoin is also pumping as well. However, we do have to be realistic that Bitcoin did have a nice bounce off of this support that we've been having. So it is possible that Bitcoin just continues to tread upwards. Maybe we don't get that correction that we were talking about. However, we do have a lot of resistance overhead. If I actually look at the futures chart, you could see that we're actually having a downward sloping resistance right here. So although this is technically somewhat of a still asymmetrical triangle, it's not a descending triangle, right? It's not necessarily a bearish structure for Bitcoin. There is still potential, that possibility that for the third time, we are unable to breach this resistance and we could correct down to the bottom of this trend, which, like I said, could bring us to the low 11,000s or high $10,800. Now, do I actually think that Bitcoin is going to completely reverse and after 11 years of a parabolic run up and logarithmically putting in higher highs and higher lows, finally just give up because of the 2020 election and then just dumped all hell and Bitcoin goes to zero? Absolutely not. And if you think that, well, then head on over to Bybit and have fun shorting because short term might work out. Long term, most likely you will probably get wrecked. But let's talk about the election. What could possibly be the outcome? Well, there's two possible outcomes. Trump gets reelected or Biden gets elected instead. Now, if Biden does in fact get elected, then the Democrats will assume the majority in the U.S. Congress. This makes it more likely for lawmakers to pass a second virus stimulus package, which will in fact boost the economy. And we do know that a stimulus package is a bullish catalyst. Not that I want to have to rely on that to pump the price of Bitcoin, but at the end of the day, we know that it will help things like gold, like Bitcoin. People get this money and they spend it, or you have the alternative crowd which looks for investment. And we have absolute proof that on the last stimulus package, people were buying Bitcoin when we saw exact purchases of $1,200 on Coinbase at record highs exactly at the same time that the checks were given away. Okay, so historically, what can we expect? Well, shout out to Coin98 Analytics for this chart. And, looking at the November 6th Obama election in 2012, Bitcoin then went on after 385 days following for a 9,225% increase. Did we have some pullbacks along the way? Of course we did. We had 30%, 40%, 50%, and even 60% pullbacks. The same goes for the original Trump election in November 8th of 2016, where almost 400 days later, we saw a 3,045% increase. Now, assuming that we only do a third of what we do each time because Bitcoin has diminishing returns, well, then that would still put Bitcoin at 1,000% increase, which means you would see a 10x from where we are right now, which means that on the low end, or on the high end, I should say, we could be looking at still $130,000 Bitcoin. I'll take that. Will we have dumps along the way? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I think it's pretty obvious where Bitcoin is going. As I said, if we do come back and retest this level, I wouldn't be upset at all. It would be a good I think we'll have a little probably struggle around the heart line, maybe dip down in this area. There could be a potential fake out. But as long as we don't fall below this red zone right here, which is around the $10,200 level, then I would say that Bitcoin is still doing great. We have still broken out of our major resistance that we've been in for 3 years. We are well out of this support zone. We are definitely out of this, triangle. I don't even really have to zoom out to the, gigantic logarithmic chart. I mean, does this look bearish to you? Does it look like it's finally giving up, like it's unable to push any higher? I mean, we've seen this happen before, where Bitcoin gets to a previous high, has a little bit of a struggle, and then has the breakout, right? And having a look here, Bitcoin's trajectory has been putting in higher highs and higher lows ever since the Black Swan event. And if we do have a Black Swan event, and there is a major dump, and it does happen right around the results of the election, look at what happened when we had a global pandemic, okay? Bitcoin literally fell from 10,500 all the way down to 3,000. The mid 3,000s, and we had a recovery to even higher than when we opened the year. Do you honestly think that this is just a force that's just going to be stopped because of the elections? And honestly, for all these Bitcoin bears, and some of these people are actually my friends, people I've known for a while in the space, but it's like, man, if you're still bearish on Bitcoin, I don't know what to tell you. Bitcoin has probably been dragged through the mud more than any other asset or commodity I can think of, and it always ends up coming out on top in the long run. So just my opinion, but you know how I feel about that. Now, let's talk about something that is a little concerning, which was the record-setting mining difficulty adjustment. We actually had a 16% decrease, right? So when it's decreasing, it generally means, not necessarily, but usually, that there are less miners or that there's less mining competition. And that's why it gets lowered to make it easier for the remaining miners to be able to solve the puzzle, right? And this adjusts every 2,000 something blocks. I forget the exact number. But according to a November 3rd report published by the South China Morning Post, Hong Kong is set to ban retail investors from trading on unregulated crypto exchanges. Now, we do know that there were a lot of miners in China. Obviously, this is becoming more difficult as China continues to crack down on the ban. Is this just the result of the capitulation still from the halving event, from the Black Swan event? Is this related potentially to what is going on in Hong Kong? Hong Kong was one of the last sort of somewhat friendly crypto jurisdictions, and now even that's going to be affected as well. So, I mean, could that be the case? I don't know. I mean, all we have is on-chain data. I can't actually see who's turning on and who's turning off their machines. But at the end of the day, I'm really not worried, okay? Yes, these anomalies happen once in a while, but, it is unfortunate. For example, they say that the latest regulatory push is significantly more aggressive since it also concerns cryptos like Bitcoin. Now, something that did not necessarily get confirmed, but there were rumors as well, is that Chinese authorities have also put under investigation or potentially even arrested the COO of Huobi. Now, they did release a statement saying that they're denying it. They say, we have become aware of rumors within our community about the arrest of senior executive by locals. We can share with confidence that these rumors are false. However, as you can see right here from Crypto Whale, what he pointed out, you could see that over $500 million have been transferred out of Huobi. So is this just people freaking out over the news, or is this insiders who actually know something is happening? So this is also affecting things as well. We do know that the China FUD in the past has had an effect on Bitcoin. Long term, no. Short term, there's always these, moments of sort of FUD and freak out, right? Now, let's end on some positive news, because at the end of the day, regardless of, whoever wins, I really don't think long-term it's going to affect Bitcoin, unless somebody just straight up comes out and if Trump gets reelected or something and says he's just going to ban Bitcoin, then okay, that'll definitely have an effect. Maybe midterm, could have an effect for a year or two, but long-term, I still don't see governments able to actually kill Bitcoin. But talking about, and here's an example of why I don't believe that Bitcoin and cryptos are going anywhere. You have PayPal CEO Daniel Solomon saying that the large online payment processor will add numerous new cryptocurrency-related features at the start of next year. PayPal's mobile payment service app, Venmo, will also support digital asset purchases. Now, he goes on to explain that his company is in close talks with central banks and regulators to explore cryptocurrency wallets for its users. He believes that digital wallets are a natural complement to all forms of digital currency and also the future of money transmission, right? I mean, we're moving digital. We are digital. You're watching me right now digitally, right? Aren't you? You're probably watching me on your TV or your phone connected to the internet. I'm sure you use PayPal and Venmo and online banking and cryptocurrencies and NFTs and play video games with your friends online. I mean, literally everything is digital. Why would our money not shift digital? And check this out. Tracy Alloway, a Bloomberg financial journalist and co-host of Odd Lots, wrote in a newsletter entitled 5 Things You Need to Know to Start Your Day. Not sure how this relates to Bitcoin, but in it she wrote, I have a confession to make. I am now bullish on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on Bitcoin because I'm bullish on cognitive dissonance in a complex society and on people's ability to produce endless narratives for the cryptocurrency, even ones that are at times contradictory. So at the end of the day, this too shall pass, and for everybody freaking out, it is just another election. We have seen things like this time and time again, and history has proven that regardless of what was happening, and look, it's not like, we were coming out of the financial crisis and things were great and it wasn't as bad. Guys, it has always been bad. There have always been complaints about civilization from the dawn of civilization. There's always been a plague or a pandemic or civil unrest and injustice and inflation and the separation of whatever, you name it, okay? We have always been in turmoil. There have always been things happening in the world, terrible things financially, markets falling apart, economies shaking, crumbling. And at the end of the day, we as people, as human beings have survived. And in my opinion, Bitcoin is the hardest, best form of money that we have ever seen on planet Earth, ever. Just my opinion. You might feel different. So for me, I'm not really worried about what's going to happen in the next month or two, because I know in my lifetime that these crazy predictions that these guys say, these 1 million, 3 million predictions, I wholeheartedly believe we will see those numbers. I believe we will see Bitcoin hit 1 million. We will see Bitcoin hit 5 million potentially. And it sounds crazy, but when you think of how many people aren't actually in crypto right now, when you realize that there is so much fiat in the world that could literally, stimulus checks are nothing. Governments print money all day, every day anyway. And just look at these countries like Colombia, Venezuela, for examples, if you don't believe me, okay? Will it happen in the US? Probably not to that extremeness. Is that, I don't know, but you know what I'm trying to say, okay? So at the end of the day, no, I'm not worried. Could we have a dump? Sure. Will I be buying? Absolutely. And on that note, I think that is it for today's election video. As you can see right here, YouTube is proudly presenting the premium election logo. With that being said, if you are not subscribed, definitely consider it. We give away a Ledger Nano S every single Monday, except for yesterday because I only had one video. So let's be honest, we'll tag that on to next week. Don't forget, guys, if you are interested in trading, leverage trading is definitely not for beginners. You can make money longing or shorting Bitcoin, but be sure to use the link below. You are helping to support the channel, but also exclusively if you use it and enter the code WIN $500, you are eligible for that as well. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You are the reason that I make these videos almost every day, but not last week. That being said, my name's K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. I freaking love you. Until next time, stay crypto, be safe out there, and of course, peace out.